just a quick show to show you guys the settlement agreement. The lawsuit against Harvey Adelson settled about 3 weeks ago. So I just happened to finally get around to checking on it this evening. And due to my ongoing health problems, I'm not going to be reading the whole entire thing, but I'll just kind of scroll through it for people who really want to read all the verbiage. This is a good thing. Settlement of lawsuits is always a good thing. And especially since Harvey is probably at least 80 years old and his wife is in jail. So he's got bigger things to concern himself with. The interesting thing is that the plaintiff, Danny Tijero, who claimed that Harvey didn't pay him overtime, he only got $4,000 out of this settlement. And I find it kind of surprising because in his lawsuit, in the complaint, I think he said he was owed $12,000, maybe even more. I just don't have time to go look for the complaint, but he's releasing everybody, releasing the corporate defendant. And so this is where it says the plaintiff gets $4,000 as full, but his attorney gets $6,800. So I guess that's something that he and his attorney worked out, because if the attorney's not going to be making a big sum of money for his time, then he has less incentive to take on these types of fair labor standards and wage and hour type cases. So the bulk of the settlement goes to Zandro Palma, his attorney. And of course, the defendants are not admitting to any sort of wrongdoing. Let's see. So the payment is due in 2 installments. The first installment was due, I think, maybe just a couple of days ago. And the next payment of $6,000 is due probably at the very beginning of January, sent to Mr. Palma's trust account. Okay, so there's going to be a judgment against the defendants if they default. And see, I don't think they should have any problems with that, because I think this is definitely a good outcome for Harvey. He would most likely have to pay well over $12,000 in attorney's fees for himself if this had to go on. So, of course, no admission. He's not admitting to any sort of wrongdoing. This is a purely economic and business decision. Okay, so I'm also sort of surprised that this became something that was filed in the court file, because now the public has the ability to just access this. Typically, when you have settlements, the vast majority of times it is confidential. So that way, people are not privy to what happened, such as with Charlie's previous lawsuits with disability insurance companies. Those were voluntarily dismissed, and we don't know if there's some sort of settlement behind the scenes. Okay. So, of course, he's waiving her right to jury trial, governed by Florida law. Okay, so this is not much of a long video, but I did want to get this news out. And tomorrow morning, I actually have my first Botox injection for these vocal cord tremors and problems that I've been having, that have been getting worse over the last couple of years, and really appreciate those people who have expressed sincere concern and still supported my channel, as opposed to many rude people who have made a lot of obnoxious comments and have been subsequently blocked by this channel. So thank you guys for bearing with me. Hopefully I'll be coming back after a week or so with a better speaking ability. Okay, so another thing that's kind of weird about this settlement is that nobody signed for the corporate defendant. See, it's still blank here, but Harvey Adelson signed through DocuSign, so maybe he just forgot. I'm assuming that is his corporation, so I guess he forgot to sign this blank, but perhaps the plaintiff's attorney didn't really care about that. What really matters is that the plaintiff is settling his case because he has the burden of proof if he wants to move forward with this case. And at least Harvey did sign as an individual. Okay, so the court did, I guess, affirm this settlement, $12,000 for a lawsuit that's been going on for 9 months. And now Dr. Adelson can focus on his family issues instead of dealing with this former alleged employee. Okay, so let me take that off the screen. And the next live stream show, hopefully when my voice is a little bit better, is going to be on December 10th with Florida attorney Sue Ann Robinson. She's the attorney who represents the family of beating death victim Shanquella Robinson. So she was, I guess I should say allegedly, but beaten to death by her so-called friends or her traveling companions when they went down to Mexico. And the feds decided not to bring any sort of charges against them, saying there wasn't enough evidence, which is kind of strange because at least one or maybe two of Shanquella's friends were using their cell phones to record this horrible beating. And so I feel pretty privileged that the attorney is willing to be on this show to discuss the civil wrongful death lawsuit against those people. So let's see, because I didn't remove that from the screen. Hope everybody had a great Thanksgiving, and thanks for tuning in. Have a good evening.